So in previous session, we had seen simple shapes such as circle, square, rectangle, and we also painted them using simple washes such as wet on dry, wet on wet, and glazing. So you can always refer my lesson number 1 for this activity. Now, what we will do here is today we will use the same shapes such as circle, square, triangle, or oval, or say uh, rectangle, and we will make 3D objects out of it, such as sphere, cube, cuboid, cone, and cylinder in that way. So let's get started. So my name is Maruf and you are watching my channel. Do follow and like my channel. And uh, as we discussed that we are using simple shapes to paint and learn to paint. So it is very important that we also learn to draw such simple shapes, such as simple as line or circle or square, triangle, oval. So use when we learn to draw these shapes, it will also help us to um, draw certain objects what we want out of it. So it will help in improving our drawing. So let's come to the point and uh, come let's paint some objects here. So here I have drawn certain shapes such as circle, cube, cone, and cylinder. So let's see what we can make out of circle. We can always have sphere, then with the help of square we can cube, cuboid, square and rectangle we can make cube and cuboid. With the help of triangle it becomes cone, and with the help of oval and line we can always have cylinder. So when we are making such objects, 3D objects, we can we can make any drawing or anything what we want. So these 3D objects are very important when we learn to draw or paint. So let's get started. Here I have certain colors which I would be using for painting. This is purple, this is crimson lake and cobalt blue. So our object colors would be crimson lake. This is for the darker shadows, and this is the shadow, casting shadow we will use for the casting shadow. What is casting shadow? I will show you while painting it. So let's get started painting. So now we are making sphere. So we'll paint half of the circle with crimson. Once the area is wet with the lighter tone, we can always add the darker one. again thick color. So now in the white area or blank area we can put color. You can always use this tissue paper to wipe the extra color. So here what we have seen, the source of light is here. So this is the lightest tone we got. Now there is another tone what we are adding is blue. So with the shadow, so here a sphere is ready to let it get dry. Meanwhile, we will see the another sphere using same method but with some different tones. Again, we will be using these three colors. Sphere is ready here. Hope this example is useful for you. Again, we will make another sphere. What we will do here is, there we had used wet on dry. Here we will make the another sphere with it wet on wet technique. We will wet the area. Benefit of wetting the area is your texture of paint will go away. For example, this is dry area and I want to put a color here. So this is the texture what we get. But when we want to paint on wet, so here we are getting the area, and now we will use the color, so you will won't find such textures. So that is the benefit of wet on wet. So I have wet the area. Now let's use the crimson. When we are making a sphere, always remember that we need to use the half of the sphere with darker tones. Always start from below to top. It will benefit you in getting the various tones of the same color. And if you get a single tone, then you can always use this tissue paper to wipe it the extra color. So a single tone sphere is ready. Now what I am doing here is, see, I am taking the water and wipe it. Now I will lift the color. This is called lifting of color. The extra color. This is how we can always use to create the source of light. Now let's take another the blue for the darker tones to make the shadow area of the sphere. We will start with the lowest part of the sphere, so that as and when we we move up, we will get our tones. And here a line for the shadow. So our again another sphere is ready using wet on wet technique. So let's add the casting shadow here using purple, the touch of blue. So this is the casting shadow I'm adding. The darkest area of the sphere. So our another sphere is ready. Here again the source of light is here. Now in the same way we'll paint cube, cone and cylinder. So when we are painting cube, we should again see the source of light which is somewhere here. So now darker here the darker we will see the darker tones, and somewhere here also, and let's see how it going to be, because I'm just painting it with imagination. I don't have any reference to paint. Again we will use the same crimson color. So when there is a dark, we will obviously use the darkest tone of the crimson. Now I want to spread this color. So what we have to do is, we don't have to paint the individual section individually, separately. Just spread the color with the water. Always come from the lightest area, so when it will gel with the darkest tone, we will get the gradation effect. And you can always use the tissue paper for wiping out the extra shades. Painting of cube is also kind of a painting of sphere. So here our cube is ready with the single tone of crimson. Now we will add a touch of blue wherever there is a darker area. Now meanwhile, let the cube get dry. We will use the cone here. So let's paint cone, and again we will use the same method. We will What we will do is, half of the cone will be a darker tone and half of the cone would be lighter tone. So in order to make something different, I have used two different colors, lemon yellow and green. So let's see how the cone would look like. So we will start with the lightest tone, which is yellow. I am adding the yellow, and our left side would be completely light with this tone. And again, I'll show you our source of light. Our source of light is somewhere here. Like so, obviously, when we will have the source of light from the top, we will get the lightest tone somewhere here, and we have darker tone below. Sometimes it's possible that while applying water, we may get extra water on our surface, so we always wipe it with tissue paper. Now, next tone is green. So we will add green from this corner to, as cone is 3D shaped, so obviously it has some darker tones in the shadow areas. Now the third color, which is the casting shadow, which should be the darkest one, we will add the blue. So here a cone is ready with the source of light, which is from the left side. So it is as simple as that. Now when this cube is ready with and dried, so let's come to the cube here. We will add the darker tones, which is blue. Now we have the shadow over here, which should be somewhat like this. From this corner to this corner, And this is the adding violet to the blue becomes casting shadow, which is the darkest one. As the source of light is here, we will add the touch of water so that the darker tones will automatically spread where there we want some tones of dark. So in this way, our cube is ready. Now the last one is the cylinder. So again, cylinder is kind of a cup where you will see the darker tone is here and the shadow area we will create over here. So let's create how it's look. Again we will spread water here. We would be using crimson for the object color. Let the color flow wherever it is wet. The water will drag the color inside, and our source of light is somewhere here, so we will keep this area light, and again we will add the darker tones, which is blue. This is the shadow area. Now let's add the casting shadow, which is should be the darkest one. The third color we are adding is purple. Sometimes blue is enough to make the darker tones. To make little vibrant, I had added another color, which is purple. Here basically I am using the imagination to paint it. I have no reference, but generally in 3D shapes we need a reference to paint. This is just a demo how to create the shadow, so it's fine. We can a touch of here and there is fine. So again our sphere is ready. So let's add uh, some lines for the depth. This is the line for the depth we are creating. So as and when we go to the deep in the cylinder, you will notice the darker tones. Yeah, so cylinder can be both. It's hollow or it could be opaque or hollow. So I have used this as an opaque hollow one so that we can create the depth inside. So yeah, three shapes is ready: sphere, cube, cone, and cylinder. So basically, it is just to show the shadow effect using the simple objects: circle, square, triangle, and rectangle. And as this I have shown the color tones, let me show you how to paint without you drawing it. So suppose there is no drawing, it's just a color patch. So suppose this is a cube. So this is how we can create the shadow effect. So it's not an exact shape of a cube, but still we are trying to build the exact, trying to build a cube out of the color patch. It's not necessary that our drawing should be perfect when we are painting, because it is our eyes illusion that makes the object. Now at the top we have the lightest tone. You have the shadow. So here we have made cube out of the color patch. So hope you like my video. Do like and subscribe, and thank you for watching.